There's also something else that narcissistic people have, which I term macro empathy. In my most recent experience that I just had of pseudo macro empathy, this person was criticizing me for being too hard on narcissistic people and not giving them a chance.
There is a trend going around where people like doctors or life coaches will make videos about narcissists. And those videos get lots of views, so they make more and more and more. And when you watch one of them, all of a sudden the algorithm picks it up and they'll start bombarding you with videos about narcissists. And the examples of how to tell if someone's a narcissist are pretty universal behaviors of emotionally unstable or immature people when they're in conflict. They're also pretty universal to the viewpoint of the other person in the conflict and how they see the person they're in conflict with, if that makes sense. So I think this is a perfect example, this video of Dr. Ramani, who describes herself as one of the top experts on narcissism. And she's talking about somebody close to her in her life that obviously is going to view this video. I want you to see how Dr. Ramani is very hypocritical in her judgment towards this person whom she's in conflict with. And it seems to be that she's incapable of seeing her part in this conflict with this person. And she's kind of lacking the ability to really empathize, but she also describes herself as a super duper empath. And so I think that there is a problem with these life coaches and these doctors who are wounded people and emotionally unstable, and they're in conflict with people in their life. And unfortunately, with people like Dr. Ramani, she has an actual degree and a status that makes her seem legitimate. And it's unfortunate because the people in her life are having to be diagnosed with personality disorders by her when they're in conflict with her, when in reality, she's doing the very behavior that she's literally accusing them of doing. She is doing the exact thing that she is accusing them of doing. And this is very, very common, and it's very, very hard to see, especially when you get sucked into these videos. I was guilty of this as well. I got sucked into these videos, and what it does is it separates you from family. It makes you unable to see your own faults, and it makes you overly focused on other people's problems, people that you can't change, and then it gives you a reason to justify your bad behavior, which is ridiculous. It's like somebody has to stand up, put their foot down, and be the bigger person in the relationship and show the relationship what it's like to be mature and how you should respond in moments of feeling like your ego is wounded. You shouldn't respond by trying to hurt that person back. That's not the right way to do it. And just because someone else does that to you doesn't give you a pass to do that back to them. It doesn't give you a pass to make yourself out to be a victim. All it does is it tells you, okay, this person is not somebody that I'm willing to put in any more effort towards, or I'm going to put more effort towards this person and show them what it's like to be a mature and emotionally stable person. And if they can't get on board, then you got to do something. I mean, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of your life to be cutting people, especially your parents, your family members, your husband or wife out of your life and labeling them something that you're incapable of labeling them because you're incapable of having an objective opinion about the person that you're in conflict with because you're part of the conflict. And this video is a perfect example of that inability to be objective in conflict.
There's also something else that narcissistic people have, which I term macro empathy. One thing we have to remember is that it's actually not completely accurate to say that narcissistic people completely lack empathy. They actually have what's called variable empathy. They turn it on and off to get what they need. So it's not pure empathy, but it's more of a transactional empathy, and it turns on when they're actually having a good day. It's empathy for big groups of people from a distance. So feeling bad for a group of people going through a bad time, wartime, refugees, natural disaster survivors, or even getting into sort of an intellectual polemic about people who do bad things. For example, being angry about all people who abuse vulnerable people. This can also result in them berating the people who are actually around them in real life for complaining about the stresses of their lives. How could you complain about your life when there is a war there, or explosion someplace else, or fires burning down this or that? So when you are having real pain or real hurt in your life, the narcissistic person will seem to have tons of empathy for a situation across the world, but have no problem invalidating, diminishing, or gaslighting the emotions or experiences of a person who's standing right in front of them. But to the world, they often look quite empathic because they're so worried about those people on the other side of the world. In my most recent experience that I just had of pseudo macro empathy, this person was criticizing me for being too hard on narcissistic people and not giving them a chance. And ironically, after the call, I reflected my life is a damn living monument to giving narcissistic people too many chances. And my messed up health and mind are the inscription on that stupid monument.
Later on in the video, she describes this person as being very close to her. So I'm sure you know and she knows that this person is going to view this video. And in fact, this is the whole point of her making the video, is for them to view it. And what do you think her intentions would be for this? She says that later on, after the conversation, then she had more stuff to say that she didn't say. And so she says it here for them to hear, obviously.
But the person said that by me commenting on the rigidity of these relationships and the lack of change that we observe in narcissism, or at least that I observe in narcissism, and most of you do too, that I am not giving the narcissistic people a chance. Then the person proceeded to say about 15 terrible, unempathic things to me. I know it was 15 because I wrote them down as a.
So this person is saying, with her going online and giving this information to people, and the way that she's doing it is demonizing human beings that might be labeled by others in their lives as a narcissist, or might be actual diagnosed having the personality disorder. And she's not being fair with her presentation of the situation, and instead demonizing human beings. And then supposedly they said 15, which she wrote every one of them down, unempathetic things. So everything that you say to somebody has to be empathetic. But is what she's doing empathetic to their situation? Is she empathizing with their point of view at all? Or is she even allowing herself to do that? Well, let's see.
The irony wasn't lost on me. Mercifully, I was on the phone, so I was sort of able to ruefully chuckle and roll my eyes.
So they come to her with this criticism or complaint about her behavior and the way and the things that she's teaching online. And her response is to laugh and roll her eyes at their complaint. Is she really empathizing with their situation or their point of view in doing that?
I actually did not follow my own Dr. Ramani rules, and I did the opposite.
So again, it is certain that she is well aware this person will view this video, and she's hoping for it. And she wants to legitimize what she's saying by constantly reminding that she's a doctor and an expert on this, but she's literally labeling someone in her life that she's in conflict with. As a psychologist, she should know that she is incapable of judging or analyzing the people in her life and making diagnoses for them or labeling them, because she can't be objective to the situation here.
I defended, I explained, and I engaged, but I will give myself some props for not personalizing.
So here's a dig at that person who she knows is going to watch this. I just want to let you know that it didn't get to me. It didn't change how I feel about myself. What you said didn't affect me. Like, this is very petty.
I laid out statistics and other nonsense to this person. It was a total waste of my Sunday morning. And while in this case, my providing evidence actually did shut this person down.
So this person who's close with her gave her feedback that she didn't like. And her response was to throw a bunch of quote unquote nonsense statistics at this person until they finally shut down and stopped talking to her about it because she shut them down. Do you think this person is going to feel comfortable ever coming to her with any kind of criticism or complaint about her behavior ever again? No, she wants to make sure of that. And she wants to also make sure that they know that they are worthless to her and their opinions is worthless. It was a complete waste of her time.
I laid out statistics and other nonsense to this person. It was a total waste of my Sunday morning. And while in this case, my providing evidence actually did shut this person down, the conversation really made me reflect on this sort of moralistic empathy that this person had for all of the narcissistic people out there. The absence of empathy this person had for me, a person to whom they're very close to. After the conversation, I felt invalidated, tired, wrung out, and as most survivors of narcissistic abuse do, I fell into that thinking of, what if this person's right? What if I am some kind of monster for pointing out these patterns and not being nicer to narcissistic people? Maybe I should be an enabler.
So this is a really cruel way of twisting somebody's concerns to you when they come to you with concerns. It's a cruel way of twisting it to make that person feel and look stupid. So I'm sure the person didn't say that you were a monster and you should be an enabler. That's obviously not what they said, or you would have pointed that out. You said what they said, which is that you weren't being nice enough to a narcissist. And now you're making it seem as though they're insane, because only an insane person would say that you should be a monster and enable people. And so this is just not, it's not nice. And she's doing this as a way to not help people, but to hurt the person she knows is going to see this. And she wants to get the last word and make them feel stupid, and use the people in her comment section and all the people that are going to give her what she wants, which is she wants people to praise her, and she won't listen to anybody or empathize with anybody's point of view that goes against praising her point of view.
What if I am some kind of monster for pointing out these patterns and not being nicer to narcissistic people? Maybe I should be an enabler. And then I went to my inbox and read my emails, and then I was reminded that, yeah, it's probably really important that I keep educating people about narcissistic and antagonistic patterns and the harm that it's doing to them. I'm not sure if the person I was talking to is fully narcissistic. I do believe that this person does dislike me even though they remain in my life, so I think that they were just simply trying to find a way to hurt me. But the person does have a lot of narcissistic top notes. And I gotta.
So because this person came to you with a rebuttal against your opinion or your stance on narcissists, you think that they're purposely trying to hurt you personally, but look what you're doing. Look what you're saying about them. What do you think that she's trying to do there to say this to thousands, hundreds of thousands of people possibly? What could her intentions be other than to hurt that person who came to her with a complaint?
Remain in my life, so I think that they were just simply trying to find a way to hurt me. But the person does have a lot of narcissistic top notes. And I gotta say, this pattern of pseudo-macro empathy is one that cuts across narcissistic people. And the conversation was exhausting and tiring. So this pseudo-empathy is often very moralistic and self-righteous. And it becomes a tool to minimize one person's experience, a person who's right in front of you, by weaponizing empathy. Weaponizing empathy is kind of awful, right? It's like weaponizing a cute teddy bear. But for narcissistic people, it's easy for them to have empathy for a concept or a struggle that they're not directly in. And since other people only serve as tools for emotional regulation for them, they can use this pseudo-empathy for a reason to bash the other people around them across the head and then feel better about themselves because, well, they're only caring about those people who are so far away. The pseudo-empathy also creates an environment of enabling. Just as in my conversation where this person is telling me, oh, you're being so mean to narcissistic people.
So let me get this straight. When they told you that you don't care enough about narcissists, or you're not being nice enough to the narcissist, your response was to go look at your emails of people that were praising you and feeding your ego, and then say, well, you know what? I better keep teaching about narcissistic behavior to these people so that they can diagnose the people they're in conflict with as narcissistic and completely shut them out of their lives because it's helping people. And so aren't you really only caring about people who you don't even know rather than actually listening to the opinion of someone who's close with you? Completely lacking empathy for that person's point of view and instead immediately throwing nonsense at them to shut them down?
And then I went to my inbox and read my emails, and then I was reminded that, yeah, it's probably really important that I keep educating people about narcissistic and antagonistic patterns and the harm that it's doing to them. And just as an aside, listen, I'm the first one to say if anyone with a narcissistic personality wants to do the daily work, be mindful in every interaction, stop using other people to regulate, be self-reflective, recognize that they aren't any more special than anyone else, and recognize the feelings of others, and do that every hour of every day, then yes, change is possible. stop using other people to regulate. Then I went to my inbox and read my emails and then recognized that they aren't any more special than anyone else. The capacity for narcissistic people to be empathic about things like issues or groups of people, but not to real living, breathing individuals, is recognize that they aren't any more special than anyone else and recognize the feelings of others and do that every hour of every day.
Recognize the feelings of others. Is she recognizing that person's feelings correctly? Looking from the outside in, all we know is that this person said that she's not being nice enough to the narcissist, and this is her response to them. Is she recognizing their feelings, or is she just labeling them a horrible person for saying anything negative about her or for making any suggestion that she could be doing anything wrong? Is that recognizing their feelings? I don't think so. I think that the only way you could say she's recognizing their feelings is she's recognizing that this video is going to hurt their feelings, and that's what she wants to do.
If a person with a narcissistic personality can commit to this daily work, then change is possible. It's a unicorn, I'll own that. And for the people who are experiencing narcissistic abuse, waiting for the narcissistic person in your life to make substantial change while you keep enduring the abuse.
It seems to be that she believes that issues in relationship are most likely always one-sided, and it's one person who needs to change and the other person who's enduring the abuse. This is a very backwards and flawed way to see relationships. Most of the time, if you're a healthy person that doesn't have insecurities, if you're not insecure and if you're not manipulative, then you're not going to feed into this kind of relationship and you're not going to be part of it. Most people will shut down at somebody treating them like that and will back off. They're not going to sit around and stay in a relationship if they are completely secure in themselves. Why would you give somebody else ownership of your feelings? That's pretty narcissistic to do. I'm assuming that everybody is purposefully hurting you when in fact it may be something within yourself. And maybe the quote unquote narcissist is hurting you because they think that you hurt them purposefully and something you did or said hurt them. And so they're only responding to you in a way that hurts you. And that's kind of what they're teaching people to do, is respond in a way to hurt this other person because they're completely incapable of changing and they don't deserve for people to be kind towards them because they're not kind towards people. It's just a complete cycle. You be mean to me, you say mean things to hurt me, and I say mean things to hurt you back, and then we just go back and forth labeling each other's behavior rather than looking inward.
The challenge is that to other people who do not know a narcissistic person well, okay, they're just meeting them, maybe they're more of an acquaintance, if they hear the narcissistic person sort of yammering on about the plight of other people and how much they're worried and want to give their A game to worrying about these folks, while continuing, by the way, to emotionally abuse the people who are living in the same home as them.
So this person pissed her off, and her response is that she needs to keep helping people who are dealing with narcissists because they're what's important. And she's literally emotionally abusing this person by making this video. And I'm sure she did it in the phone call as well because she was able to shut them down. So she's doing what she's saying that they're doing. This is a typical issue in relationships. And because of this flawed information that's so readily available out there, it's destroying people's lives and relationships with their parents, with their family members, giving them a really backwards way to view things.
Pseudo-macro empathy can confuse the hell out of us and very quickly leave us feeling like we're the bad one. Resist that impulse. That's idea that you're the bad one. Sit with it a minute. Recognize that the person who showed you no empathy is showing it to a concept or an issue or people they've never met on the other side of the world.
If you're completely innocent, if you've done nothing wrong, it's most likely that you're not going to be plagued with self-doubt and wonder if you're the bad guy. The only reason why you're going to do that is because you're going back and forth and including yourself in this kind of back and forth cruelty to each other in order to make the other person feel bad for making you feel bad. And instead of realizing that it's not everybody's a manipulative mastermind. Maybe this person is emotionally immature and has never once in their life had an example of a healthy person in a relationship that responds when their ego is hurt, responds with the truth and says, that hurt my feelings. I love you and I don't want you to hurt my feelings. Instead, they say, F you, you're horrible, you're a narcissist, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, maybe you should be the example of what you want other people to be rather than go along and play the game until finally things blow up.
The capacity for narcissistic people to be empathic about things like issues or groups of people, but not to real living, breathing individuals is a...
What about the inability to feel compassion or empathy for groups of people, to not even think that they're real living people, to just think that they're nobody because they're a person far away that's suffering? And you might be able to help them by talking to the person who's causing that suffering. Well, if the person that's causing the suffering is Dr. Ramani, she's really a living human person, and the people that you care about are not even real living people, so they don't matter, and how dare you.
But not to real living, breathing individuals is a signature characteristic, and again, something we see that is pronounced in self-righteous and communal narcissists. My belief is that we can evaluate the kind of person someone is by how they treat the person who's sitting right in front of them. It's the only place to start. Don't get snowed by somebody's empathy for other people they don't even know when they have none for the people right in front of them. So this macro empathy or the pseudo empathy is a big problem, and it makes people say, well, it seems like they have empathy for everybody but me. What they have for those other people, I'm not even so sure that it's empathy, but you're absolutely right. They have very little empathy for you.
So when she knows that this video is going to get lots of views and lots of likes and comments, and how do you think that she is evaluating the feelings and caring about the feelings of the person that she had this conversation with, that she was able to shut them down? How do you think that she wants them to feel after this conversation? Do you think that they felt heard? Do you think that they felt like their opinion was acknowledged, or their opinion was actually considered? Or do you think that they feel put down? They feel like they're being labeled as a terrible person and they're being mocked in front of an audience of thousands of people?
So to teach someone something, they have to care enough about you to listen to you and be open enough to receive the lesson. They don't. So you won't get through to them. You may want to show them how they are hurting other people. They don't care. Their only frame of reference is themselves and their own fragile egos. If you are saying something at odds with that, then they will tune you out and then they will attack you.
You are so cold, you are so cold, colder than anyone I've ever known. Colder than ice and colder than snow. It's the darkness in your eyes that smiles when you tell your lies. All the games that you devise, and your evil hypnosis when I didn't notice. You hacked my emotions. You're so cold, you're frozen. You are so cold, you are so cold, colder than anyone I've ever known. Colder than ice and colder than snow. You're probably colder than I even know. You're probably colder than you even show. And you love to say that I am insane. This is what I became. You made me this way. I am to blame for the time that I stayed. I knew that I shouldn't, but I did it anyway. Who hurt you so bad? You had to be so numb. Go back to whatever home you call. 'Cause you are so cold, you are so cold, colder than anyone I've ever known. Colder than anyone I've ever known. You're colder than ice and colder than it's the darkness in your eyes that smiles when you tell your lies. You try but you can't cry. And everything you put me through, you know you didn't have to do, but you do it 'cause it's a game to you. You are so cold, you are so cold, colder than anyone I've ever known. Colder than anyone I've ever known. You're colder than ice and colder than snow. That was the last time I made those mistakes that I made when I gave you a chance and believed you had changed. Who hurt you so You are so cold, colder than anyone I've ever known, colder than anyone I've ever known. You're colder than